Good morning. It's Monday, May 5th, and there is a viral video going around from a Republican congressional town hall in New York's 17th district from over the weekend. I want to show you that clip and a few others, but I would like us to get beyond our initial horror over watching what transpired during that town hall and talk about some of the greater implications, so hang tight with me.
Because what it will do, it will bring economic investment back into the U.S. It will force. So, for instance, I'll give you a case in point.
Are you serious?
Prescription drug precursors. Do you want China to continue to be?
I'm not reporting that. I'm reporting this.
Congressman is giving him his time. Let's get through these questions. So you should keep interrupting as I'm trying to answer the question.
Yeah, so that was yesterday's town hall for New York Republican Congressman Mike Lawler. So apparently, Congressman Lawler cannot handle a petite, middle-aged woman sitting in her seat, just using her words to express frustration and disagreement with what her elected representative is doing. God forbid a woman use her voice to express dissent, and it required at least 6 state troopers who forcibly removed her, while the crowd booed vigorously and chanted, "Shame, shame, shame." I don't understand how Republicans do not see how bad the optics is of forcibly bodily removing a petite white woman who was not doing anything violent. She was sitting in her chair. Now, you will notice how different this town hall went from the one that happened in February, where in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, a woman was dragged out of a town hall by private security who were not law enforcement and were later charged with things like battery and abduction. At the time, I made a video about the bystander effect because nobody except for one gentleman stood up to stop what was happening to Dr. Teresa Borenpaul at that Coeur d'Alene town hall. But notice the difference between that and this event last night, where there is vigorous, overwhelming pushback. People are shouting for them to stop. They're shouting at the congressman. They're shouting at law enforcement. We see women who are filming and documenting what's happening, folks who are vocally expressing outrage and are in opposition to what's happening. And I don't know if you can hear it in that clip, but at one point, a gentleman says, "If you remove her, then we're leaving," or something to that effect. And lo and behold, after this woman was dragged out, lots of constituents got up and left in protest. While you can hear Mike Lawler in the background saying, "Oh, you don't want to listen to what I have to say?" And I just want to remind folks here really quickly that Mike Lawler is in a purple district. Mike Lawler won with just 52% of the vote, and it's worth noting that Mondaire Jones, the Democratic candidate, got 46% of the vote. And also, anecdotally here, the Working Families candidate got 2% of the vote. Just tossing that in there as a reminder that ranked choice voting would be a great idea in the United States. Now, we have ranked choice voting here in Portland, and I should probably do another video on why I think ranked choice voting is such a good idea. It empowers people to lend their support to third-party candidates without basically throwing away their vote. I don't know about you, but it is shocking and horrifying to see that this is something that transpired in a town hall, which is a forum where constituents are allowed to express their concern about the job that their elected official is doing. But it's really important to understand what led up to this moment when the state troopers were called in. Not just state troopers, there were local police and private security as well. According to reporting from the New Republic this morning, that woman in the clip was not the only one who was forcibly bodily removed by private security and state troopers. But we need to understand what led up to a moment where law enforcement were putting their hands on constituents who were not breaking any laws, who were not doing anything other than using their voices. Now, I understand Republicans are really bad at leading town halls. They don't like the fact that their constituents are actually their bosses, that they work for the constituents. They don't want to have to be held accountable. They don't want to answer to the people that hired them for the job of representing them in Congress. And believe me, there's plenty of Democrats who are like that too, and I will be talking about that later today. Right? We have seen Republican town hall after town hall, I've covered several of them, that go very poorly, even in very deeply red districts, because we watch the electeds think that they are above their constituents, think that their constituents have no business questioning them. Electeds who fail to understand what their job is, fail to understand the relationship between the people and their public servant who should be representing their will in Congress. And not just their will, it is also the responsibility of those electeds to protect the rights of the people in their district and to advocate for policies and a quality of life and funding that benefit the folks who live in the district they represent. And we see Republicans who are incredibly condescending. They're incredibly intolerant of dissent. It's like they're intolerant of democracy in the first place. So it's important that you understand what led up to the cops rolling in and putting their hands on people and dragging them out of this town hall. Was that Mike Lawler was dishing out a bunch of BS trying to gaslight his constituents, and they were not having it. People are seeing through the bullshit. They are not buying the talking points of Republicans. They are angry, and they don't want to be gaslit. Now, Mike Lawler presents himself as a moderate Republican because he's in a swing district. And so he's not going to get those independent votes. He's not going to get some of those Democratic votes unless he acts like he is really moderate and he works across the aisle. And he loves to talk about how he is Mr. Bipartisan amongst the Republicans. But if he's really a moderate, then why is he voting for fascism? Why is he supporting the Trump regime vote after vote after vote after vote? That's what his constituents wanted to know from him. According to the New Republic, as his constituents grilled him with questions and often loudly booed his answers, Lawler remained steadfast in his loyalty to the Trump administration and its destructive positions on tariffs, bureaucracy, Ukraine, and more. How is that a moderate position on any of those issues? There's nothing about supporting Donald Trump that is moderate. There's nothing about supporting Donald Trump that is democratic in any way. And you don't have to take my word for it or the New Republic's word for it.
They're going to make everything more expensive for us, kidnapping and deporting 2-year-olds who have cancer and sending them off. So my question to you, none of this is helping us. We're getting hurt. We in the community are being harmed by this. What are you doing to stand in opposition to this administration? And what specifically are you doing that warrants the label moderate?
Again, my record speaks for itself. I have been rated the fourth most bipartisan for a reason, which is a very simple fact, that unlike many of my colleagues, I actually do work across the aisle. I actually do sit down with my colleagues. There's not a single local elected official who can honestly say that I have not sat down with them and worked with them regardless of their party. There's not a single one of my Democratic colleagues in Congress who can say that I don't do that. When it comes to votes, if you want me to answer the questions, let the question be asked.
Okay, it goes on like that, right? His constituents are pissed. They are not buying the bullshit that he's dishing out. There's nothing moderate about denying people due process, about exiling American citizens, kidnapping little children who are U.S. citizens and dumping them outside this country. There's nothing moderate about Trump's extreme tariffs. There's nothing moderate about what the Republicans are doing to destroy the economy. There's nothing moderate about standing on the side of Russia against Ukraine. But Mike Lawler is supporting all of those things. I think some of the really important takeaways from this are that ultimately our elected officials need to fear the people. Obviously, they're afraid. That's why they're trying to crack down. That's why instead of listening to angry constituents, he's having the cops drag them, private security, drag them out of the town hall. Republicans are getting desperate because they cannot justify supporting what this regime is doing, and yet they continue to vote in alignment with him. The other big takeaway I have from the video at the beginning of this, as disturbing as it was, is that the American people are resisting and the resistance is growing. The anger is building. The momentum is building. Every Republican who supports this regime needs to know that their seat is not safe. They need to fear us, the people.